Hi, welcome to another episode of ComSpeak. Our guest on this episode is Atul Aluwalia. Atul is the co-founder of First Partners. Prior to starting First Partners 5 years ago with two other co-founders, Atul ran a large operation with a leading public relations firm for several years. We'll hear about those stories in the next few minutes from Atul himself. Thank you for joining us, Atul.
Thank you very much, Amit, for the introduction and for inviting me.
Now, we do this because we want the younger generations of professionals to learn about the pioneers of the public relations business in this country. I'll go right back, taking you many years prior to 1983 when you graduated from Sri Ram College of Commerce. Tell us about what happened after that. What happened after you finished your graduation at SRCC?
So, Amit, I actually consider my years after SRCC as the dark period of my life because I got into chartered accountancy only to realize that it was not something that I was either enjoying or was particularly good at. So, I think it required a fair amount of uh, grit for me to change professions after having invested some time in my training. So, it was a difficult period where I got into a profession and realized that that was not meant to be. And,
Interesting. So,
my
what happened?
colleagues till then, yeah, sorry.
No, I said, so tell us how you moved from that part of the phase of life to another phase which you got into eventually. Tell us that story as well.
So, I think the main learning was that one should not just go into a profession which you believe is stable and lucrative, but go for something which you believe you're good at. So once I realized that I was not enjoying looking at vouchers, etc., I decided to go for something which I felt I would be good at and which I thought was that I was a creative person. And therefore, I wanted to get into advertising once CA was not working for me. And so I decided that I will move to an advertising firm. So I went to all the big advertising firms, whether it was JWT, Lintas, etc., and gave my CV. And I was put in the queue everywhere saying that, okay, as soon as we have an opportunity, we'll call you, etc. Till then, I got an opening in a below the line advertising firm, which was called Next Communications and was run by an expat whose clients were mainly PR firms. So his clients were key clients were IPAN, which is now called Hill and Knowlton Strategies, Mudra PR, and so on. So very early in my career, I started working with PR firms as one of their vendors, so to speak. So that was really my initiation into PR because I was working very closely with two top PR firms of that time. And my first boss, Venu Menon, was director client servicing at IPAN. And he offered me a job. He said that he was going to start Corporate Voice and that if I would be willing to join him, he'll put aside all the CVs that he's received. So that's how I entered into PR.
I see. So which year was that when Corporate Voice was founded and you were part of it? Do you recall?
Several years back. So I think somewhere in the early 90s. I don't recall the exact year.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Just to place it on record.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's how you got into PR from CA to an advertising kind of an agency to the PR world, and then it's been a great, amazing journey, and we'll talk of that in the next few moments as well. So tell us
So,
what inspired. Yeah, go on.
so
Go
Amit,
on.
I also mentioned to you that strangely enough, when I got this job offer from Corporate Voice without giving any interview because, Venu knew me, he had worked with me. I also got a call from JWT at that time because I left my profile there.
I see.
And then suddenly I was in two minds that what should I do? But I chose to still go with PR because I thought it was an emerging profession. It was a sunrise industry. And I knew that in JWT, I would have to jostle in a very competitive space. And I
Right.
thought that maybe this is a place which will give me a free run for my creativity. So I chose PR.
So were you in a way one of the first employees of Corporate Voice? Is that right to say that? Or they were
So when I joined Corporate Voice, it had, they had a Bangalore operation which was already running. It was a Bangalore headquartered agency. And in Delhi, yes, I was the number 2 person to be hired. Venu started the agency.
right. Interesting. And then over the years, you went on to become the head of the company. You went on to become the vice chair before moving out. If there's something that is a highlight from your close to 2 decades working in that company, it was called Corporate Voice, then Corporate Voice Weber Shandwick, and then Weber Shandwick. Is there something that stands out for you in those 20 years that you want to share about? Please feel free to add.
So Amit, again, I think I became a branch head of Delhi in, record 3 years. So I joined as an account manager and I became a branch head in 3 years. Unfortunately, my first boss, Venu Menon, passed away after 1 year. And there was a person who was number 2 who also moved on to Mudra PR. So willy-nilly, I was made branch head of Corporate Voice Delhi, and there was no looking back after that.
Fascinating. That's interesting. Completely a story that very few get to share, because very few become branch heads in such a short time, and you had that good fortune to do that. I'm going to cut the chase and come to 5-6 years ago when you moved out from what was then now called Weber Shandwick. What inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
I think the most important thing is that you are your own boss and you decide, so anyways, I know you've heard this before, but being an entrepreneur is like having your own baby and nurturing it the way you want to do it. And the joy of seeing your baby grow. So I think that is something where the satisfaction is unparalleled. So having worked for over 2 decades, we felt that we wanted our own agency, and more importantly, I believe that beyond a point, we wanted to work on 2 tracks. We wanted a reputation management track and we wanted a business outcome track, because we realized that in today's world, clients don't just want reputation building, which of course is core and will always remain core, but it can take several years. Clients are also wanting their agency to help with their business quarter on quarter. And this was something that we wanted to kind of evolve and then give to our clients as a offering, which we felt that is the way for PR to go. Because, something that we've always realized, while I've been hearing this for decades, that how can PR be a CEO function, and some feel it is, some feel it isn't. But I believe that unless PR firms become problem solvers and not just publicists, you will never be a CEO function. You have to be a problem solver and you have to help business. If you are just publicizing what is happening at the client's end, you will always remain a peripheral function.
Right. No, thanks for sharing those insights. Absolutely wonderful. I'm now going to move from talking of your origins in the world of PR to talking to something that is very close to your heart. I know that for more than 5-6 years now. While you were heading Weber Shandwick, or Corporate Voice Weber Shandwick, as it was called at one point of time, your firm was known to be the firm that won several awards year on year at various PR awards in India and globally as well. And then after you moved on to start First Partners with Dilip Yadav and Santanu Gogoi and others, your firm has been on a winning spree year on year, winning several awards for several campaigns in various kinds of categories. I know it's a tough one for you to share one. It's difficult for a father of many children to pick up one child who's his or her favorite, his favorite. So I'm going to ask you to spend a few minutes talking of campaigns. Tell us one campaign in your entire career, either at First Partners or prior, that really stands out for you as a campaign very close to your heart. And I'll let you choose to add 1 or 2 more if you want to, but 1 is what I'm asking for. 1 or 2 is fine. So people listening to this question and the answer are able to go online, search more about this campaign and find out how this campaign was crafted. So tell us more about that one campaign that stands out for you, or 1 or 2.
So Amit, while like you said, there are several campaigns that I'm proud of, but if I was to pick one, I would pick one which was actually done many years back when I was in Weber Shandwick, was a campaign that we did for WHO, which was on Bindas, condom Bindas Gold. And the reason I pick up this campaign was that even I think over 15 years back, when we won this campaign, we did not see it as a media relations campaign alone. Also, what we did, and I think that is a hallmark for something that I and my team have always tried to achieve, was in terms of innovation, creativity, we had an all women's team to service the account, because we felt that if we have to break the stigma and taboos of something which was at that time considered a taboo subject like condoms and try to normalize it, it would be good if it's an all women's team, because if they were going to speak to stakeholders about it very naturally, people, it will hit harder. And even at that point in time, our campaign focused on 8 states in northern India. And as an agency, we took a 50,000 chemist program where we reached out to chemists, tried to explain to them to put condoms upfront, don't be shy about tucking them, while a lot of them still probably do that, and try to tell them to behave normally, to give it is not something clandestine that you're doing. So this was a campaign which was around 50,000 chemists in 8 states, where at that time the incidence of HIV was quite high. And I remember that when I was discussing this with Arindam, who was the late Arindam, who was the editor of Economic Times and Times of India, he was quite surprised that PR agencies did all of this. So my team went and met up with the key administration authorities of 8 states. They did this entire chemist program, besides, of course, the media visibility. And we won the UN award for the best campaign in healthcare globally that year. So yes, this campaign, because I think that 15 years back also, we did not see PR as media relations.
Right.
We really saw that to solve this problem, how do we first get the change to come from the chemist's end?
So it was an advocacy campaign in a way. Yeah.
Right.
Thanks. If you want to add one more from your first partners days, you may. If you don't want to now, we can do it in another time in the future. I leave it to you to tell me if you want to add one more campaign that's close to your heart.
So I think the Mangaldeep campaign, where again, we realized that the Swachh Bharat campaign of Prime Minister Modi is not likely to go very far till there is a behavior change in people in India. And we thought that the best way to effect a behavior change is in the temples, where people come with a very pious state of mind. They'll do anything which is being told by the temple authorities. And we got them to start cleaning up the temples, and we started the movement from there. So what started with 3 temples then went on to 63 temples and has become a fairly big movement for,
Right.
for the
I'm
waste
aware.
management.
I've seen that campaign win you several awards in the last couple of years,
Yeah.
and fabulous work there. Thanks for sharing those two. So those of you watching this episode, go online, check these 2 campaigns, and check the other work that Atul has done with his team over the years, and you'll learn more about campaigns they've worked on. I'm going to ask you 2 more questions on this subject. Question on a campaign that you did not work on at all, but you admired it from a distance. You saw it either as a jury member, you saw it as an observer, you saw it as a brand enthusiast. Tell us one such campaign that you feel, wow, I wish I was part of that campaign, or I wish I worked on that campaign. Which one is that, Atul?
So I loved the MSL campaign for Procter & Gamble, which was about Vicks Touch of Care. I thought it was a brilliant campaign. I thought it, it kind of underlined the fact that love and care are universal emotions, and they are not contingent to one sex. So whether you are a male or a female or a transgender, the love that you have for a child transcends all of this. And I thought that was beautifully captured in that campaign. I personally loved that campaign and wish we had done it.
Right. I'm glad to hear that. Very rarely do people mention another campaign from the same geography. They always mention of international campaigns. Thanks for being bold on that one and sharing that campaign. Those watching this, you can go online and look for Gauri Sawant. You can look for Touch of Care, Vicks campaign, and see what Atul is talking about, and you learn more about it as well. Last question on this campaign bit. Your firm, First Partners, and previously Corporate Voice, is known to be the one that wins several awards, gets shortlisted for various awards in different kinds of categories. Tell us I know it's a secret formula you may not want to share publicly, but tell us in whatever way you can and you can share publicly, what is it that goes beyond winning these campaigns year on year, awards after awards? What's that secret sauce that Atul, Dilip, Shantanu and team put together to win these awards year on year?
So there is no secret formula. There's no secret sauce. Amit, I think this also is a function of, the two tracks that we work on, the reputation track and the business outcome track. Because I think today all jury members also basically look for outcomes and not just output when they review campaigns. And I think when you are working at campaigns with a clear outcome in mind, it gives you an edge at a time when a jury member is looking at the entry. So while I think creativity is great, but I think creativity must be targeted towards helping business outcomes. Otherwise, creativity for creativity's sake is of little use. So I think it's more the marriage of creativity with a strong business outcome orientation, which perhaps is what clicks with the jury members. But I think this is a question best asked to the jury members, and also let us know.
Now, I've asked
Maybe
this
we'll
question to
become
jury members,
wiser by it.
actually. I've asked this to jury members and not specifying your company name. I said, what makes companies who win awards year on year stand out for you all? And the one answer I've got is they say all companies or many companies sending entries work on great campaigns, but very few write them well or package them well. I think there's something you all do right in just packaging and writing your work in a manner that others maybe are not aware of or don't get. Maybe that's one reason. But that's my sense from what I've heard. Maybe that's true, maybe that's not.
So I can't comment on that, because my sense always is
Right.
that, many times as a jury member, I see campaigns, but, when you look at it from a result standpoint, you find them underwhelming.
Interesting. So I'm going to move from the professional world, talking of PR and campaigns and whatnot, to something little personal, so people get a little more glimpse of Atul. Otherwise, you are known to be a very, very quiet, reserved person. That's the impression I have and many have, but a gentleman at that all the time. Tell us what you do to unwind. How do you spend time at leisure? What do you do beyond work?
So Amit, as you know, we live in a very stressful profession, and my best ways of unwinding is going on a drive to Lutyens, Delhi. So every Sunday, I go for a drive, and going through those wide lanes. Also Sunday, because there's very little traffic. Just driving through the lanes of Lutyens, Delhi is a very peaceful experience, and it's my greatest unwind thing. And you may also find me loitering around Bengali market and eating a few things here and there. So that's my idea of unwind. I think it's long drives with some
Right.
good music playing in the background.
Okay. So talking on the personal front, we'll take you many years into your childhood and schooling and college days. Tell us more about your childhood days, your schooling, college. Where did you go to school? Which part of the city or country you grew up in? Just throw some light on that for those watching to get a little more glimpse about you.
Yeah, so I'm from a regular middle class family. My father was in the government, and I was born and brought up in a government flat in Karol Bagh, if you please. And even though I think it may have been beyond their means, but my parents put me in St. Columbus, which at that time was Delhi's best school. And they were worried whether I would be able to do well. And they were very pleasantly surprised when I topped the class in kindergarten itself, and then continued doing that all through school. So my parents were more than thrilled. But then that really was the way I was, a diligent, hardworking child, not very sporty or adventurous, I'm sorry to say.
That's fine. So award-winning work from the age of 5, so almost 4 or 5 decades of award-winning work from kindergarten till as we speak.
No, so I was a rank holder. So I came third in KG, but then I started coming first post that. So I've had a series of certificates which I treasure still for topping St. Columbus in every class.
So there may be a clue here for our viewers that Atul's campaigns are not just work that has happened overnight in the last few months and years. It started 40, 50 years ago from his kindergarten days, where he was diligent, hardworking, studious, and honest in getting on top and being the number one person in the class as well. So I think there's a little clue and secret sauce that comes from that insight that you just shared. Fascinating. We'll talk of the future now, Atul. Thanks for sharing that. We got to know where you went to school and college and whatnot. Tell us about how you see PR evolving in the next 5 years. I know you've seen it for almost three and a half decades now, and every year things change. The digital tsunami has hit us in a big way over the last 2 years. Tell us about how you see PR in 2026, 5 years from now.
So I think already when we look at PR, we look at 4 buckets now. So besides earned media, I think paid media, I think owned media, digital media, there are all 4 important buckets that we have to address to get our clients business results. Because obviously with earned media, you don't have that kind of, you can't do that kind of repetition to create that kind of impact. So every campaign, every story that you also do has to be a campaign. It has to be taken to digital. It has to be taken to owned. And also you have to resort to paid media also to some extent in part of the overall mix. But, again, I would again go back to the fact that I feel that we need to be better at being problem solving through innovation conclave, Amit, that we do with you, with Reputation Today. We try to look at, whether they are CFOs, do they feel that PR professionals can help them better because they are also navigating in an uncertain world. We also navigate in a world that we don't control. So we find that there are several gaps which I believe that we need to fill. So a lot of them, for instance, CFOs feel that they would want much more from PR professionals, but a lot of PR professionals don't know how to even read balance sheets very well. So this thing is that there is a lot that we need to do, whether understand the marketing challenges better, whether to understand the finance challenges better, whether to understand the growth challenges better, whether to understand the HR challenges better and be problem solvers. And I think that's really when we will get our.
No, thanks for sharing that. You brought up the innovation first communication conclave. I had not planned to talk about that, but since you brought it up, very few PR firms and PR leaders in India, at least over the last 15, 20 years that I've been in PR, have taken the pains to go out on a limb and put in time, money, energy, resources to build a property of sorts. And I think First Partners was the first to do that 5 years ago, or I think early into your creating that firm. What led you to create a property like that? What was the inspiration that you wanted to put together to make that annual property that brings CCOs together in one place for a day of learning?
So, I've said this before also, Amit, my biggest inspiration was that when I started my career at Corporate Voice, I think I was barely 2 months old, that I was asked to pitch to Mr. PRS Oberoi for the Oberoi Hotels account. And so I went, I pitched, and we won the account as well. And I was all of 2 months old, and my experience of PR was also all of 2 months old. But I was always very, very impressed by his focus on quality and his focus on the fact that it's important to be the best and not necessarily the biggest. I mean, numbers are always welcome. So it's not an excuse for not having the numbers, but the focus should be that you should be the best. And I always saw him as a perfectionist who was bothered about every little flower which was in an Oberoi property, that not one flower should be stale. And I was also impressed with the fact that he was building properties that were not just best in India, but were amongst the best in the world. So I think when we started off First Partners, the idea was again to create something which would be a trailblazer of sorts in terms of quality. So I think even the innovation conclave that we decided to do really stemmed somewhere from that.
Interesting. Thanks for that. I have 2 more questions to ask you before we go to the rapid fire, which will take a minute or so. There are several men and women in Indian CorpCom, PR also, who have been part of your team over the years. You have been the boss to several of them. if you want to just, for the sake of people watching it, want to just share a few names, 3 or 4 or 5 names of leaders in the Corpcom world today who have gone through the portals of your office over the years, where you are their boss as a branch head or as a CEO. Just share some names. I know a few names. I thought I'll hear it from you.
Yeah, so let me see what comes to my mind. So there was Rajiv Bakshi, who went on to become the head of marketing for Discovery. Then he moved to Reliance. I think now he's with Z. So he's head of marketing. So he moved beyond PR and he moved into mainstream marketing as well. Then there was Swati, who I remember went to Jindal and then she went to, I think she's right now with Bajaj Group.
Are you
So,
referring to Swati Bhattacharya?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So there was Swati Bhattacharya.
Right.
And there are several more. The only thing is that I seem to have gone in a complete this thing, but
That's
yeah,
fine. I know people like Senjam Rajshekhar, Melissa Arulappan
yeah,
have all been
yeah.
your
See,
colleagues in the past.
yeah. So Senjam, of course, you know, Senjam, of course, is with now MPL right now.
Yes.
Melissa was my counterpart. She was not reporting
Right.
it to me. So she used to
Fair.
head Bangalore and I used to head.
Yes. No, I
She's
mentioned
with
her as a
Quintiles,
colleague
as
of
you know.
yours. I
Yeah,
mentioned
she
them
was
as
in.
colleagues of yours. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, great to hear those insights. My last question before the rapid fire. A lot of youngsters are making choices these days to embrace PR as a career choice. They're 21, 22-year-olds like you were many years ago. What is your advice to these youngsters who make a choice to enter the world of PR for them to succeed in this career choice they make?
So my only advice is that don't just focus on the communication part, also get a good understanding of business. Because if you want to be taken seriously by the client, and if you want to be part of more strategic discussions, you need to understand their business. And something that I always tell my team is that you should put yourself into the shoes of the CEO and the marketing head of a client to really work on your plans. And also another thing which was taught to me by one of my first clients, which was McDonald's, was that a lot of PR agencies and PR professionals are also kind of, it is felt that they come with half-baked items. They sit in a conference room, they think this is a good creative idea and they present it. And many times clients feel a little underwhelmed because they feel that it's not been completely thought through. So one of my clients used to say that you must do a 5 why filter. Why is it a good idea? Is there enough ROI for the client? So for the money, what is the budget that you believe this would have? Would this give good ROI? Is there a better way of achieving the same at half the cost or a fraction of the cost? Am I really targeting the key stakeholder, of the client? So whichever is the primary stakeholder, whether it's the government or the consumer or whatever. And only if you pass through this 5 why test, Atul, you come with the idea. And then I'm all ears. But don't come before you've gone through this 5 why test. And this is something that I repeat for every pitch or every client annual strategy. Put yourself through the 5 why test. It's not that the client has unlimited money to spend. A good creative idea will not fly if there's no good ROI in it. If there's a better way and a sharper way of focusing on the key stakeholder at a fraction of the cost. So I think that's very important. And so that's something that I will advise everybody, that also please understand your client's business. Otherwise, the client will treat you like they do some agencies, that when every planning is over, then they say, call the PR agency, let them get the media. Because
Right.
if they only see you as communication guys, this is the way you are, of course, communication people. But I think unless you don't understand your client's business as well as they do, what will you communicate? And why should the
Right.
client trust you?
Right. No, thank you so much. This is so inspiring and so insightful. Thank you for those various points you made over the last few minutes. I'll now move on to the last segment of our conversation. It's a rapid fire. We ask our guest 10 questions in less than 100 seconds. So you have 10 seconds per question. Not too much time to think. Very trivial questions, but interesting, no doubt. We'll dive in right away.
Sure.
Tell us which is the one book you recommend highly to people to read, your favorite book of all time.
Again, something I read long back, Good to Great by Jim Collins.
Okay. Which is one gadget you can't do without?
My Apple smartphone.
Which is your favorite brand?
I would say Apple again, even though I'm
Okay.
repeating myself.
Okay. What is your all-time favorite travel destination?
I've not been there, but I'd love to go to Greece. So while I've been to most parts in Europe, which is my favorite continent, but I
So
haven't
I'm
been to
sure
Greece yet.
you're waiting for the pandemic to end and start travel again, maybe go to Greece. Great.
Right,
Uh,
right.
What's your favorite cuisine?
Indian and Thai.
Okay. We'll talk of 3 or 4 people now. Who is your one professional role model that you've always looked up to?
Again, I'm sorry for being repetitive, and though he's not from the industry, but Mr. PRS Oberoi and
No, absolutely fine.
his sense of perfectionism.
Okay. Name one Indian communicator that inspires you.
Prema Sagar. And
Name.
I was part of PRCAI, which was set up. And I know the effort that Prema put in at that time to, organize the industry, bring in ethical standards. So I give her a lot of credit for shaping the industry as it has evolved over a period of time. And therefore, Prema is somebody that I've always admired.
Fabulous. Name one of the bosses you would have had before you became an entrepreneur or before you became a CEO that you really looked up to. One boss that stands out for you.
Yeah, so my first boss, Shiv Reddy, I have been hugely spoilt by him. And many times he used to always tell me in the middle of a conversation that, Atul, I don't know whether I'm reporting into you or you're reporting into me. But I think that's the kind of camaraderie we shared.
Nice.
And even today, I'm hugely, hugely fond of Shiv.
Good to know. Last 2 questions in this rapid fire. What are the 3 words that describe Atul Ahluwalia?
So, at the cost of being immodest, I think again, I try to be a perfectionist to whatever extent I can, creative, and very anxiety prone.
Very
Anxiety prone, so
prone. Okay. Okay.
I take
Right.
stress very
Right.
easily.
So creative, perfectionist, and anxiety prone. Fair. The last one, the 18 months that have gone by have been crazy for this world. What are your key or one key learning for you in the last 18 months?
I think expect the unexpected, and this has been our learning even as entrepreneurs. You get your biggest highs from things where you were least expecting, and certain places where you were very confident of certain results, they may not happen, or they may get delayed. So I think it's always, just expect the unexpected. What you don't expect is more likely to happen, and we've taken the last 18 months also like that.
Fair enough. No, thanks for sharing that. It was an enriching conversation, Atul. I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it too. And for our
Yes, I did.
viewers watching this, I hope you learn a few things from campaigns to people to ideas from this conversation with Atul. I'm sure you'll always find ways to reach out to Atul directly through email, through phone, in whatever way you can. Thank you once again for your time, Atul, and I hope to meet you in person soon.
Thank you so much, Amit. I really enjoyed this as well. Hope it was useful.
We'll know in time to come. Thank you. Bye.